Okay, we are going to be going through 1.6 vocabulary, so make sure that you have your notes out in front of you. And we are going to be talking all about quadrilaterals today. So what do you think our first vocabulary word should be is probably what is a quadrilateral? Well, a quadrilateral is a polygon with 4 sides. Okay, so obviously a triangle is one with 3 sides, a quadrilateral is one with 4 sides. So today we are going to be talking about squares, rhombuses, rectangles, trapezoids, parallelograms, kites. Okay, we are going to be talking about all kinds of quadrilaterals that you will be seeing throughout geometry. So all of these shapes have 4 sides, including the one on the lower right-hand corner, the little dart thing. Yes, it does have 4 sides. That is called a quadrilateral. A trapezoid is the first one. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral that has exactly 1 pair of parallel sides. So that's important. 1 pair of parallel sides is key in this case because other shapes could have multiple parallel sides. So here is a picture of a trapezoid. Make sure you sketch the picture and notice there are the parallel markings that we talked about in 1.2, okay, to show that there is 1 pair of parallel sides. Now a kite definition can be kind of tricky to understand at first, so hopefully I can break it down for you. A kite is a quadrilateral with 2 distinct pairs of consecutive congruent sides. So there are 2 sets of consecutive. Consecutive means side by side, okay, or next to. There are 2 pairs of consecutive. Congruent means equal. Okay, if you remember that. So a kite picture, okay, would look like this. Now some of you are probably like, well, I'm thinking of like the kite that's up in the sky. So if you tilt your head to the left a little bit, okay, and yeah, most of you did. You probably look a little funny. Okay, there are 2 sets. 2, there's 1. Here's 2 of consecutive. So they're side by side. Congruent. Notice the congruent markings are different because that's the distinct part in the definition. Okay, they're 2 different. Okay, obviously a kite, we could tilt it any which way, just like a trapezoid and all those shapes. Okay. So here we have a parallelogram. Now a parallelogram is a quadrilateral, which we know because we are talking all about quadrilaterals today. And unlike a trapezoid, it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Okay, so a trapezoid only has 1, a parallelogram has 2. So here's a picture. Okay, notice that I have different parallel markings on the top and bottom versus the 2 sides to show that they are parallel in different directions and they are not parallel to each other. A rhombus. Okay, so if you remember, we talked about what equilateral means. Okay, anybody have any guesses on equilateral? Okay, that's when all of the sides are congruent. Okay, and we have it's an equilateral parallelogram, which means it has 2 sets of parallel sides. Okay, so we can use our previous definitions to help us with the definition of a rhombus. So here we have all 4 sides are congruent with one another with our congruent markings here and here. Okay, and we have the 2 pairs of parallel sides. So make sure you have the correct markings on it so that you are not getting confused between a rhombus and a parallelogram and a trapezoid. Now a rectangle. Now most of us are like, well, I know what a rectangle is, but do you know the real definition of a rectangle? Okay, and that is an equal angular. So unlike equilateral, equal angular means that the angles are congruent, and it's a parallelogram, which means it has 2 sets of parallel sides. Okay, so I know most of you knew that all the angles were maybe 90 degrees. Okay, and obviously we know that the opposite sides are congruent as well. Okay, but don't forget to add in the parallel markings. If I'm ever going too fast, please make sure you are pausing the video to take down the rest of the notes. Last but not least, we have the lovely square. Okay, and the square is a shape of many names. Easiest one to call it is a square. We could also call it an equilateral rectangle. So remember, a rectangle was an equal angular parallelogram. Well, a square could be an equilateral rectangle. It could be an equal angular rhombus, or it could be a regular quadrilateral. Okay, remember regular means both equilateral and equal angular. Okay, so it's the shape of many names. So here, okay, we have a square. All four sides are congruent, all four angles are congruent, and we can also make note of the parallel because all of our shapes have had parallel sides like that.